Hey, Kyoto win too.
All right, we're live. We're live with a special guest from Vegas.
We have to talk about your Bellator.
This is the Jersey Boys podcast. I'm back, Steve Ricciardi with Zelda. Zelda, how's it going?
Good. She's going good. Out here in Vegas, enjoying myself, and having a great time.
Yeah, so we have a reporter on the scene in Vegas. As we were going live, you mentioned I got to tell everybody about the Bellator bet. So the other day, I messaged Zelda, and I tell him about a couple fights that I like, and I thought he was going in with me. I thought we were going in this together, but obviously you just put the bet in for me. So I won about $320 the other day on a Bellator bet. So that just means that I got about, what does that equate to? The $10 for UFC 226, the $10 contest. That means it gets me 32 more entries.
That's nice. Nice.
Yeah, so it was a good bet. 32 entries there. Maybe I can compound that into a couple of grand.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's get into this card a little bit. I'm looking on Draftkings right now. The prices haven't been released, but again, since tomorrow's July 4th, we kind of wanted to get the show out. We planned on doing it on Tuesday, hoping maybe they would have dropped some of the prices, and then whatever they do with the TUF show tomorrow, and I guess they're going to have probably two more fights, right? They'll have the winners and losers fight. That'll probably be the 11th and 12th fight on the card, I'm going to assume. So with that being said, Zelda, if you looked at the Survivor contest, there's a round one Friday, Saturday Survivor contest. Have you any interest in that?
Seeing them out here in Vegas, and it's illegal to make lineups and gamble from Las Vegas. I might make some because I'm heading out to Los Angeles tomorrow. I wish they would have combined the two cards together and did the Survivor that way, and still even let you, if you use fighters from the TUF, and then you use fighters for 226 in this Survivor, you'd still be able to edit your lineups if you had fighters from 226 versus TUF, but they went just straight TUF fighters.
Right.
And then the 500 will advance to play 226. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's basically the way it's working now. You got to survive Friday to get to Saturday. I think Friday's going to be more like, it says 500 people will advance. So that's more or less a 50-50 with 1,100, almost 1,200 entries. So
yeah,
so you'll have 500 people going to Saturday, which I believe on Saturday will probably be a GPP, and they'll probably wind up paying the top 15 or 20%, I would assume.
Yeah, I'm hoping there is 12 fights on that card, but right now we don't.
We don't
know if there's going to be 10 or 11 or whatever is going to happen.
I'm going to assume. I know there's 10 now. We know there's 10 now. Eight of them have odds.
But there's only one final tomorrow.
There's only one final, but don't they usually do the winners and losers? Right. So that may be the 11th. The 11th fight may be the losers.
Maybe that's why they haven't announced the 12th fight yet, or the 11th and the 12th fight yet.
Yeah, I think
there's 10 on there now, right?
Yeah, the 11th fight, I believe, will be the losers. The 12th will be the winners.
Yeah.
So that's more or less what we're at.
Which would give 12 fights.
Yeah, we should have 12. So let's get into this card. We'll break it down based on odds. We can kind of guess at what the DraftKings prices will be based on odds. I'm going to assume that the DraftKings prices will either break late tomorrow night or Thursday, probably more likely on Thursday. So a lot of shows that have come out already that have done previous shows, they obviously don't have the DraftKings prices. So the first fight on the card is Brad Tavares and Israel Adesanya, and these odds are getting real close. As I throw it to Zelda, I'll check the latest odds, but they're getting real close right now. So let me just break down the fight, Zelda, and then I'll send it to you. I think the odds were a little bit further away earlier in the week. Right now, they did close up, and I actually had this fight a lot closer than I think a lot of other people did. I know Israel Adesanya is the kind of fighter that a lot of people like, style bender, kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing. He's very, very long. He's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage against Brad Adesanya, and he'll have a 3-inch height advantage. So he definitely has the advantage in terms of his frame, his body. This fight is not going to the ground. This is going to be a striking match. But the thing about Brad Tavares is I think he's a good counter boxer. So if Israel does want to lead the dance, I think Brad's going to be in a perfect position to counter. His hands are always up; they're real tight. He's got that boxing stance. Will he shoot a takedown? I don't really know. I would love to see Tavares, shoot a takedown, maybe get Adesanya up against the cage. It's not really what he normally does, but I'd like to see him do it. I think I want to see if he can make Adesanya, do something else that he's not comfortable with. He's very comfortable at range, obviously with his reach, but he did not look great against Vettori. So if you take, and again, his first fight was against Rob Wilkinson, who was 0-2 in the UFC, was KO'd twice. He hasn't had a fight since, so that means absolutely nothing. Martin Vettori, he's a middle of the road kind of guy. He's never going to be top 15. I don't think he'll be top 15. But he didn't look good. I mean, he very easily could have lost that fight on a decision. So I think I think Brad Tavares is a great pick. I thought he was a great pick earlier in the week when I thought the odds were going to be a little bit further away, and maybe we could have got Tavares at like maybe 7.5K. But I think right now we're looking at Tavares at maybe like 7.9K, maybe even 8K. So this may go off as I'll take a guess here. I'll take a stab at it. I think Adesanya will be about 8.2 or 8.3K, and I think Tavares will be 8K or 7.9K. Well, Zelda, what do you think about this fight?
I like this fight. I think the style bender, you like Tavares, and I like the style bender in this one. I do. I like his range. I think he's going to throw a lot more kicks and stuff. I think he's going to bend him down, hit him with some knees, and I think he's going to knock him out. I think he's going to knock Tavares out. That's
Adesanya wins inside the distance is plus 120.
Yep.
Fight is a draw. They don't even have all the props out here. So right now, Adesanya is minus 130. If he wins inside the distance, it's plus 120. Again, he's not getting a submission. That's not really in his game. So if he's going to win, it's going to be by knockout. But again, all the props aren't even up there. I would assume that prop will drop, but I don't think it goes to decision. I think it's going to be stopped if Adesanya wins. I think if the fight goes to decision, I think that's going to be good for Brad Tavares, to be honest with you. But you may be right. So the first fight we're on opposite sides here, but this is definitely a mid-range fight. You know what I mean? I don't think this is gonna with the odds currently. Both of these guys are going to be in the mid-range, so I think it's a very safe fight. I personally think it's going to go to the distance. I like Tavares in 5 rounds, and maybe pushing Adesanya up against the cage, maybe trying to go for a takedown.
Yeah, very well. That very well could happen like that too. But I see Stylebender catching Tavares with something and just sending him out.
And the other thing too about this fight, Tavares supposedly had an injury. He almost pulled out of the fight at one point. I believe it was a knee injury. I could be wrong about that, but
I think that's right.
Yeah, I don't know how bad the injury was, but at some point, I think Dana White actually came out and said he wasn't going to be fighting, and then he went back on that and obviously put this fight back on the card as is. So take that for what it's worth. I don't know how bad the injury is, but obviously, if the doctors are pushing him forward here, I guess it's going to be okay. All right, the next fight on the card that I have, I'm just going to go based on what I see on Tapology. I don't think this is going to be, the order, but I'll just go by what I see on Tapology when I printed this out. Roxanne Modafferi and Barb Honchak. Not a big fan of this fight at all. Roxanne's 35 years old. Barb is 38 years old. This was supposed to be a fight that was on TUF 26. It was supposed to be scheduled on TUF 26. And who was it? Sarge? I think Sarge is the one that came in overweight. So they had to basically reschedule, and they gave Roxanne the title shot against Nico Montana. Roxanne's a volume striker. So is Barb. I think they're both kind of volume strikers. I think Barb's a better striker, but I don't think either one of them are great strikers. Okay. I think Honchak is a better fighter. My concern is really if Roxanne gets a takedown. I think she will shoot takedowns. She uses lots of movement, lots of strikes. She could win just by outstriking her, just by volume, sheer volume. I just don't think she does a lot of. She doesn't do a lot of damage with her strikes, especially with her punches. But if she does get it to the ground, she will go for arm bars from guard. You know, she'll look for a takedown, and even if she's on her back, she'll shoot some submission attempts. So I mean, for the most part, Barb doesn't have good takedown defense. She beat Jillian Robertson and Rachel Ostovich. She lost to Nico Montagna split decision, Lauren Murphy split decision in a close fight. And honestly, I kind of thought that she won the fight, but you know, it could have went either way. It's a tough fight to call. I know Barb is the betting favorite. I think she'll win the fight, but I can see Roxanne winning a decision in this fight too. And I do think it's going to go to decision. Although either one of them could, you know, I guess they could get a submission. Maybe more than likely Roxanne. But again, the records aren't great. The people that they fought have not been good. But Zelda, what do you think about this fight?
Well, to be honest with you, I probably don't really think very much about it because there's no way that I would probably invest any money on DraftKings playing this fight. And personally, I wish both of them would have just like probably hung it up by now and retired. But your analogy is probably pretty much all spot on. I would probably lean more towards Barb getting a decision. But like you said, it wouldn't surprise me if Roxanne won or vice versa. And I really think this is just a lousy fight for a card that doesn't really have all that much on it to begin with. I wish there would have been a little bit more thought put into some of the fights that are on here. And whoever wins this fight is not going to score very high.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and that's part of the issue too when it comes to the DK price. So you want to take a stab at the DK price? Konchak's a minus 185 favorite. Modafferi is a plus 160. So a minus 185. I mean, we could probably say maybe 8.6, 8.7K.
I was thinking 8.6. I was thinking 8.6 for.
So we're looking at 8.6, 8.7.
And for 8,600, Steve, would you waste 8,600 of your salary on?
In a cash game, maybe. I think I think Barb could get the win here. So in a cash game, possibly, but in a GPP, I mean, I'd much rather go with Marquez, who's kind of going to be priced probably the same way. I would assume, you know what I mean? I would go for Marquez because I think he could get the finish in the GPP. But again, that's why if you want to get somebody at low ownership, you could go with Barb at low ownership. That's very possible. I just don't see that fight finishing, to be honest with you. So let's get to that next fight, and I think it's going to be in the same ballpark in terms of DK pricing. We have Julian Marquez and Alessio Di Chirico. I started my breakdown first. The last two, you want to take this one, Zelda? What do you think about this one? And then I'll chime in after.
What fight are we on right here?
Julian Marquez and Alessio Di Chirico.
Yeah, I like Marquez big time over Alessio Di Chirico, whatever the heck is. I don't think Di Chirico is all that good. I don't. I mean, he's from Italy, and is he the one who lost to Spicely?
I actually watched that fight. Yeah, he's the one, and I'll just take it a step further with this. My exact quote is: he lost to Eric Spicely. Never took the middle of the octagon. He's the better striker. Never took the middle of the octagon, and it never became a striking match. WTF is exactly what I wrote. How do you fight Eric Spicely, who's a BJJ black belt, allow him to take the center of the octagon, drag you down, and submit you without making him have to strike? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So yes, he is the one who lost to Eric Spicely.
Yeah, I like Marquez. I like Marquez in this fight. Marquez has experience too. He beat Matt Hamill. he beat Matt Hamill in a fight. So I mean, he has ex, he has more experience, in my opinion, than DeChiro does, and I just don't see DeChiro. I think DeChiro's going out on his back. I think he gets knocked out.
Yeah, I think first of all, I think there's going to be haymakers in this fight. So I think if you're playing GPPs, you definitely play both ends of this fight. No problem with that. I think you want to lean towards Julian Marquez, though. I do agree with you there. Fight goes to decision is plus 125. Fight doesn't go to decision is minus 165. So Vegas thinks this is going to finish, and I tend to agree.
Alexio, he's got a win in the UFC, but it was against Oluwale
Bambosa, yeah, he knocked him out with the big knee. He's actually 2-2 in the UFC. He beat Oluwale Bambosa with a big knee.
Which he's no longer in the UFC. That guy is just horrible. Eric Spicely and Bambosa should fight, or did they?
I honestly, I don't even know if Eric Spicely, after he got beat, who beat him? Darren Stewart. I think Darren Stewart beat him on that Liverpool card.
Yeah,
pretty sure that's the fight that I'm thinking of. After that fight, I don't know if Eric Spicely is going to be in the UFC himself. He's got that BJJ black belt, but he doesn't really like to go to the ground. He likes to try to strike, and that's why he loses fights. To be honest with you, I don't really know why he does that. But even when I watched the Bambosa fight too. If you want to watch a fight that was just absolutely boring, watch the Bambosa fight against Alessio Di Chirico. Obviously, Bambosa gasses. So what he was trying to do was basically trying to just run around and not get hit and not really fight. He was trying to use his speed. Di Chirico is not very athletic. He's not fast, but neither is Julian Marquez. So it shouldn't really factor into this fight. But Bambosa basically, there was a point in the fight where I believe Herb Dean was the referee and basically told him you have to engage. Yeah. He wasn't even throwing strikes. That's how bad that fight was. So yeah, when you say that's not much of a UFC win, I totally agree with you. I personally don't think Di Chirico is very good, but Julian Marquez is very hittable. He has active elbows. He has quick sub attempts. He's 7-1. His only loss was by decision. In a Bellator fight, I believe it was a Bellator fight that he lost. He has KO punching power, big left hook, straight right, throws a lot of uppercuts. But he's tough. He takes a lot of punishment. Darren Stewart, he actually fought Darren Stewart and beat Darren Stewart. I think he subbed them, but they were hitting each other with shots. That was one of the fights that I saw. So I think this is a GPP fight. I think it's going to be priced very similarly to the last fight. I would guess that Marquez will be maybe 8.4K. So you're looking at Di Chirico at, what would that be, -5. I guess 7.6K. So I think both of them you can play, but I think you got great value on Marquez, especially in a GPP, because I kind of expect him to get the finish here.
Yeah, I do too. I just don't see DeChiro being a whole lot in the UFC, and I just, wish him the best of luck when he gets beat up this time in said packet.
Are you going to the TUF fights or no?
No. I don't know yet. My visit here might be extended, and Sunchu Joe is coming out on the 4th, and I'm trying to extend my stay so that me and him can go do some stuff, and I know he would. It's funny because me and him were talking about, because of course you can't make lineups in Las Vegas,
right?
And what he does is he drives to just across the state line and puts in his lineups. And that's
not a bad
really
idea.
Smart. No,
you could probably even get a VPN. If you get a VPN, you may be able to job the system.
It don't work.
Oh, it doesn't work?
No, I've tried it from 3 different locations. One from Chicago, one from LA, and one from the UK. And my VPN they pick it right up.
Yeah. So Draftkings is good, man. They got a lot of they're actually right in Hoboken, right by me. So
Yeah, no,
let's get on to this this next fight here before we start talking about everything else. You guys are making me jealous. I really wanted to go to International Fight Week.
I wanted you to come out too.
Yeah, it would have been great. I know Joe was going. It would have been great. The three of us hang out. And Mike is actually fighting Jersey guy, Trezano. So it would have been great to see him fight. But what are you gonna do?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Yep.
next fight here, we have Montana De La Rosa and Rachel Ostrovic, I believe is her name. How you say it? Yeah, Montana is minus 175. So just based on prices here, I guess we're looking at like 8.5K, right, Zelda, something like that. So if Montana's 8.5K, then Rachel's going to be about 7.7K. I'll break down this fight first and then throw it to you. So Rachel was a wrestler and a boxer. She's kind of short but thick in stature, and she likes to wrestle into some sub attempts. I think her striking is better here. So I kind of like Rachel to win this fight by decision. I can see either one of these girls kind of throwing a couple sub attempts in there and possibly submitting the other person. So I think this is a nice fight for GPPs. You may be able to get a first or second round sub out of it. But I really like, if it goes 3 rounds, I kind of like Rachel's striking better. So I can see a 3-round decision if it stays in the feet a little bit. Rachel's 1-0 in the UFC. Montana's 1-0 in the UFC. I believe they both won last year, I guess it was last year at the TUF 26 finale. Montana is actually a 3-time All-American wrestler in high school. She has an armbar finish, but her striking to me looked weak. So I think they both have that wrestler, BJJ submission type finishing ability. But I like Rachel better on the feet, so I'm going to go with her to win this fight in a little bit of an upset. But what do you think in this fight?
I like the opposite in this one. I like Montana, and I'm hoping that she's young. I'm hoping that she's developing a lot better. She's actually fought better competition than Rachel has, and I think with her being long, or a little bit, she's long. She's 1 inch taller than she's 5'4", and Rachel's 5'3". So when I said the word long, I meant, she's a little bit more lengthy by 1 inch. But like I said, she's fought better competition, and I see her taking this to the ground and pounding Rachel, who's gonna wear out, and who knows? Either one of them, too, maybe might get a sub, but I see this fight going to a decision.
Yeah, I do too. I see it going to decision also. So I mean, play the decision prop if you want, but I guess we're going head to head here. I'll take Rachel. You're taking Montana.
Yep.
It's not the first time on this card. Next fight we have Oscar Piachota and Gerald Mearshart. Oscar is 11-0-1, 2-0 in the UFC. He has a decision versus Jonathan Wilson. In that fight, Jonathan Wilson actually just dropped down from 205 to 185. This fight will be at 185. So Oscar was fighting somebody who really has a bigger frame. And then he actually KO'd Tim Williams in his next fight at 185, a natural 185er. He has a bunch of finishes. Of those 12 fights, I believe 10 of them were finishes. And there's only one decision in those 11 victories. He has a BJJ background, will shoot a takedown, good left kicks, good ground game. He doesn't really jab much. He just really throws hard right hands. He throws an overhand right, hard right to the body, hard straight, straight hard right hand. Very patient. There are times in the fight where it's like he's not very active, but then he kind of explodes. And I don't think that – I think the odds are getting a little bit out of control. Oscar's minus 225 right now. But I think that this is the perfect fight for him because Mearshart is southpaw. He has a big, wide stance, and he uses forward pressure. And when he uses that forward pressure, he's gonna catch some right hands from Oscar. And I think Mearshart is very, very hittable. In his fight against Santos, Santos is a striker, and he hit him a lot. Hit him hard, hit him a lot. He may try to grapple and go for trips, but I think Oscar's stronger than him. I think he's the bigger guy. So again, if he's going to charge forward, which is what he normally does with his forward pressure, I think that's a mistake versus Oscar. And again, I think Oscar's going to be better on the ground. He's got a BJJ background. So I see this fight finishing. I like Oscar to finish it. I like Oscar to win this fight. In terms of the numbers, they're kind of negligible. Mearshart has 1 inch on him and has like 1 inch height and 1 inch reach. So it's not much of a big difference here. But I like Piachota. I know a couple of people have actually bet Mearshart I saw online, but I like Piachota, and I think he's going to get the finish here. But what do you think, Zelda?
Yeah, I like Piachota here too. Don't forget about his left hand too. He's got a good left punch too. He sent a straight left punch to Jason Radcliffe and knocked Jason Radcliffe completely, pretty much well out. And Jason Radcliffe at the time was no slouch either. He was, I believe, Radcliffe was like 12-2, and it was for the Cage Warriors title.
Oh, really?
And Piachota actually was the Cage Warriors middleweight champ. He's got good circle motion. He's a BJJ black belt. I know that Mearshart is comfortable on the ground, so to speak, and could get a. I don't see Piachota allowing that to happen, but I mean anything's possible in that way. If it is on the ground, Mearshart could do something like Paul Craig did or something, But Piachota to me is a far better fighter than Mearshart. What concerns me about Mearshart too is he gassed bad in the second round against Santos.
Right.
He had nothing left. If this goes into the second round and he's pressed heavy by Piachota, he's not going to have no gas left in the tank.
And again, I didn't watch that other fight, that Cage Warriors fight that you talked about. So I only watched the fight against Santos, and for the most part, I think he gassed bad because he got hit so much. And that's what I noticed, that he was just very hittable in that fight. Santos kind of picked him apart, and I think that's basically what's going to happen with Piachota. Again, if he's going to move forward, Piachota is going to be forced into a striking exchange at some point, unless he's going to let him push him up against the cage. And if he's going to strike with him, I think he's the better striker. He may even take him down, but you're right. I mean, anything here can happen. I'll just throw some numbers out, just to prove what I'm thinking. But Piachota wins by decision is plus 325. Piachota wins inside the distance is minus 115. And I still like that prop a lot. Piachota inside the distance, minus 115. I'm going to write that down because I'm probably going to play that in Gamble Master.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second here. Inside the distance, minus 115. I like that prop.
Inside the distance is minus 115.
Yeah.
You know what? And I don't think Vegas is wrong on that.
No, I don't think so either. I think it's a good line.
Yeah.
All right. So getting into this next fight, we have Matt Bessette. Let me open up the line here. All right. So we got Matt Bessette and Steven Peterson. I don't agree with this line, to be honest with you. Matt Bessette is he has 2 fights that I was able to watch. Steven Peterson has a few fights that I was able to watch, and Steven Peterson, let's just put it this way. Steven Peterson is very, very tough. It's a detriment to him that he is so tough because he takes a lot of damage. So he fought, who was it? Benito Lopez on, I think it was Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. And it went into the 3rd round. And if it weren't for a takedown, he probably would have given Benito Lopez his first loss. Benito Lopez, I believe, was like 11-0 at the time, or 10-0 at the time. I believe Benito Lopez fights out of Uriah Faber's camp. So Faber, I actually watched the Snoop cast, which I actually wish that they were still doing the Snoop cast with Snoop and Uriah Faber. That was kind of fun to watch. But Benito Lopez was real good. He really picked him apart in the first round. Peterson just kept coming on. And who's the other fight that I saw him against? he fought a striker. I can't remember his name now, but he fought a striker. I'm gonna have to look it up because I can't remember. So when you're talking, I'll look it up. But was just picking him apart, and Peterson just would not give in. So he is tough, nonstop pressure, striking, clinch work, elbows. We'll drag him down, go for a takedown out of the clinch, kicks. He will grind. He wears you out, and Peterson will just wrestle him down. So again, you know, on the Snoopcast, I'm listening to the Snoopcast, and Snoop Dogg just kept saying Peterson is just a straight dog. Like he just keeps coming. You can't, you know, you can hit him, you can punch him. It doesn't really matter. He's just going to keep coming. He's just going to keep going at you. So he is tough. And again, Matt Bessette, the one thing I noticed, he's got a whole bunch of knockouts in all of his fights that I haven't seen. The 2 fights that I was able to watch on Fight Pass were his fight that was they basically made it a no contest, but he got knocked out. He got knocked out clean. I believe it was in the second round, July 2017, and then he also lost to Enrique Bazzola and got out wrestled, which I think is something that Steven Peterson could do. I think Steven Peterson can knock him out. I don't think he's going to knock him out, but I think he can out wrestle him, and I think Peterson can just out tough him for, you know, win 2 out of 3 rounds. So I can see Peterson winning a split decision here at plus 150 at that dog price. I like that a lot. I think it'll be a striking match, but you know, it could easily go to the ground, and I think Peterson can get the best of him on the ground. Peterson also has 7 wins by sub. I know Bessette has a bunch of wins by sub too. I just don't know what kind of competition Bessette has fought, because in the 2 fights that I've seen, he's 22-8. But the 2 fights that I've seen in the UFC, has been totally outmatched. So I'll throw it to you. Let me know what you think. And I think the DK price there, if you like, Bessette is minus 170. So again, I guess we're looking at like 8.5, 8.6K.
You know, I don't know why that fight got turned into a no contest, but he got smashed by Kurt Hallbach bad. Yeah. Bessette looked horrible. He no defense whatsoever. And I see Steve Peterson actually showcasing himself in this fight and taking this fight. And I'm gonna say that Steve Peterson knocks him out.
Look at you! So we're actually agreeing with an underdog here. I like this.
Yeah, I was not impressed by Bessette at all. Like I said, no defense, and just was wailed on. And like I said, I watched that fight over just not too long ago, and I'm like, why is this a no contest? I don't know. I guess I didn't understand why that was overturned.
I have that answer. Let me just look this up real quick, because I really want to know who Peterson's fight was. I couldn't think of who he fought. Brandon Davis. Brandon Davis. That fight was just a brawl. I mean, Brandon Davis got the best of him early, like opened him up. Peterson just kept coming. And again, Brandon Davis is a pretty good striker. Hasn't had a lot of success in terms of wins and losses. He did beat Peterson. I believe Brandon Davis is 1-2 in the UFC, but he's had 2 tough losses. And all his fights kind of go to decision. He actually is a real good striking coach, but you know, he didn't give up. I mean, he just kept coming. He takes punishment. Again, to his detriment. He's not going to be able to do that his entire career here. But Steven Peterson's, I like him by sub. You like him by KO. And Peterson wins inside the distance is plus 300. So that's a pretty good prop bet there.
Yeah. Yeah, Peterson by finish. And it could go either way. But I tell you, just by watching Bessette and watching his defense, if Peterson hits him with something hard, and it could be a knockdown, and then he just starts wailing on him on the ground, and that's it. Fight over.
Yeah. And again, Bessette got knocked out in that Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series. And the guy, I didn't write down his name, who he fought. But when he fought that fight, I did look up why it was a no contest. And basically, he weighed in and he took an IV and he didn't okay it with the UFC. So that's basically why it got turned into a no contest.
Okay.
Right? Well, but, so is that's what's supposed to happen. But
the nice thing about that is all DraftKings points would have counted because it was a decision win and then got overturned to a no contest later. 100%. If it would have been a no contest right off of the beginning, then
And again, if you bet them, I don't even know what the betting line was, but if you bet them, you get the win. I mean, you're getting paid that night. So
I haven't seen anything out here on Vegas yet, Steve. I mean, even at all the big casinos, Wynn, Venetian, went to Aria, they have nothing laid out for TUF at all right now.
that's crazy.
You know, I'm hoping by Thursday to be able to check, the Venetian. The Venetian seems like they're by far the best place. Like I said, I've been to several casinos down here that don't even allow parlays anymore.
Right.
And the Venetian, oh yeah, we take parlays. You want 8 team, 10 team, whatever they'll take it all. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
amazing. It's amazing. But I guess probably a couple of prop bets, and it just doesn't work out well.
Venetian was the only one that had the Bellator fights. That
Yeah.
was it. Not Win
Right.
or Aria.
Next fight. I have a pretty good read here. Alex Caceres and Martin Bravo. Caceres has a ton of UFC experience. He's been fighting in the UFC since 2010. The problem is he's 13-11. In his last four, he's actually 1-3 in his last four fights. But he's lost to a lot of name guys that, I guess he's kind of the gatekeeper to get into the top 15, if there's such a thing. Usually we think of gatekeepers, like third, fourth, fifth in the rankings, older guys that are kind of dropping down, but you got to get through them, obviously, to get your title shot. But I think he's kind of right outside the top 15. They know he's a good fighter, but it doesn't always transfer into wins. And again, I think the thing is he's a good enough fighter, but he's not a winning fighter because he's more with his flashy spin kicks and his style, his freestyle fighter style, more than actually winning the fight. He's won his fair share of fights, don't get me wrong, but he's more or less a 500 fighter. He's 13-11 overall. Last four fights, his only win is against Rolando Dai, who just lost last week, and he's just not very good.
No, he's horrible.
He's just not good. But his other losses in his last four have been to Yair Rodriguez, Jason Knight, who again, Jason Knight has been struggling a little bit and actually subbed him, and Guan Wang, who I'm not really sure why he wasn't on the Singapore card, because he kind of fights in that area, and he's 20-1 right now, Guan Wang. So I don't know if he may be Vietnamese, so he may have to do some like military service or something like that. But he would actually impress me. He really hurt Alex Caceres in that last fight. Now in this fight, he fights Martin Bravo. Right now, Caceres is -145, and I really like Alex Caceres in this fight. I do not like Martin Bravo much at all. Martin Bravo, I believe, was 11-0, and he got knocked out by Humberto Badene, who was kind of a pedestrian fighter. Caught him with a kick, and the knee hit him right on the chin. I mean, he was knocked out stiff. Bravo's very aggressive. He can be kicked to the body, and obviously kicked to the head. That's how that knockout happened. He sets the pace. He will not gas. But, he's fought at 135. He's fought at 145. And then his two UFC fights were at he actually fought at 155, but his two UFC fights were at 145. He actually got taken down a few times in the fights that I watched. I don't know if Caceres is going to try to take him down, but I do think he has the speed advantage. I think he's open to right body kicks. That's the one problem with Caceres. You can really hurt him to the body. And the straight left, Guan Wang hit him with a straight left whenever Caceres came in. Basically floored him twice with that straight left. But he's very long. Unfortunately, when he closes distance quickly, but he doesn't close the distance long, and he gets inside, and he's very hittable at that point. So he varies his striking. He will clinch. They call him a freestyle fighter. He's southpaw. I think Caceres is going to win by sub or decision. I'm just not really sold on Martin Bravo. I know he was 11-0. He's 11-1 now, 1-1 in the UFC. I just don't think he's very good from what I've seen on tape. But where do you want to go with this?
I don't think Bravo is very good. And I agree that Caceres is pretty much, a gatekeeper for the top 15. And this fight could go either way. You know, I'm almost willing to take a chance on Bravo.
I don't think it's a bad chance on Bravo for one reason. He pushes forward. So if it goes
Yes.
3 rounds, I think he can just out volume Caceres. I
Yeah.
just don't know how good Bravo is. You know what I mean? In his 2 UFC fights, I just wasn't impressed. But I don't disagree with what you're saying, though.
I'm not. I don't know if Caceres is just burnt out from being in the UFC so long that, the funny thing is we don't know which Caceres is going to show up. Is going to be the flashy, Bruce Lee 360, 360 spin moves, and I'm going with Bravo in this fight. I
Yeah,
just,
and really, for
I
the most part, I think it is razor thin. So it's really kind of what you need if you're doing cash. I think you can kind of play either one of these guys in cash.
yeah,
But you may even like to go with the underdog because I can see this fight going 3 rounds if
yeah,
Bravo can hang and keep that pace. My issue is
yeah.
I think he gets hit with something. I think he's going to rush forward. I think he's going to get hit with something. But anything can happen at this point.
Right,
I
right.
don't know.
Because the same thing goes. He could land something on Caceres, and Caceres could, you know, yeah. I don't know how much. I don't know how much stock I would probably put into this fight, but if I'm playing on DraftKings, I'm playing shares of both of them, so to speak, in GPPs. So either way, whoever, I've been, but I wouldn't be too shocked if Bravo is so low owned and does get a win that he's on the winning GPP lineup or something crazy or something. So I can't dismiss, not playing them, but I'm probably not going to play a ton of them.
I tell you what, I think I'm gonna do on this card. I think I'm gonna play the single entry GPP contest on this card. So maybe there's 4 or 5 of them. I think I'll play those
Mm-hmm.
and invest my money there. And then I think I'm going to use my cash lineup and just basically put like double up or triple up my cash lineups in that survivor thing. So
Oh
instead of
yeah.
really playing a lot in cash, just kind of put the cash lineup there. You know what I mean?
How many Survivor lineups are you playing?
I figured I'd play about $100 on this card and then maybe 600 on the Saturday card on UFC
Okay.
226. So
So
maybe it kind of depends. Maybe I'll do like 10.
the Survivor is how much? Is it $5?
$5, yeah. Maybe I'll do like $50 worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, do like
Did
10
they?
lineups.
So if every one of your lineups hit in the top 500, all of them lineups go over, right?
Correct. I believe
Okay.
I would have to look at that. I'm not sure. There was something like a 2 time. You may be only able to play the same lineup twice. I'm not really sure. I didn't look into that much, but you may be only able to play one lineup twice. I'm not really sure what that 2 time note meant. I didn't look into it yet because obviously the odds didn't drop yet, so I really didn't even look into it. But this will be
True.
a close fight. I mean, this has to be like a probably 8.3K.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it
Just
goes
cross
off
your
with these
fingers.
odds.
Just cross your fingers and hope for that Survivor that there's 12 fights.
Yeah, I think there will be. I think there will be. We're gonna go. We're gonna move on to fight number 8 right now, and that's Luis Pena and Richie Smullen. And again, you're gonna have to get some fight footage on YouTube on these guys. They were both on the TUF 27 season, but they were injured during the time that they were supposed to fight. I think Luis Pena had like a foot or a knee injury, and then Richie Smullen, I think basically he had like exhausted muscles is what they explained, where he basically like overworked his muscles and basically like cramped up or something.
I think actually
Um,
the doctors, Steve, I think the doctors actually said that they couldn't figure out what was really wrong with him. I know the guy took a lot of crap from fighters in the house, like, come on, dude, it's a cramp. I'm not saying that he faked it because why would you fake something like that? You know, knowing that it took you all that to get onto that show to,
Right.
why? But it seemed really weird, But I know Dana White. I guess he couldn't get up or something, and Dana White said, "That's enough. The fight's over."
Yeah, and again, for the most part, he came over from Ireland. He's part of SBG, so he's part of where Conor McGregor works out.
Yeah, fights
Yeah,
out of straight blast.
yeah, and I think it was actually, I think Luis Pena was actually the one who put it on Twitter that's what it was. It was basically muscle fatigue, that he basically worked out too much, and his muscles just couldn't. Somebody posted something on Twitter that basically supported what was going on.
He was going to take out a loan, Steve, to come over here, and actually Artem Lobov paid for his whole trip and everything for him to come over. And I can't see him faking something like that. But I don't know.
Either way, he's in this fight, but I'm just gonna go by what I see. I mean, both guys. Pena's 4-0. He's got 4 finishes. I think 3 are by sub, 1 is by KO. He's long, and he just presents problems. Based on what I've seen on the TUF show, he would have been probably the favorite to win the show. To be honest with you,
I think so too.
He's very good. The guys that are fighting that I know of in that other fight, Giannetti and Mike Trezano, that should be a good fight also. But Luis Pena is very, very good. And Richie Smolin, it's tough to find out with both of these guys, like how good their competition is. Like you can go through records and go through all this other stuff, but you don't really know how good they are because you've only seen one fight with these guys.
Right.
But I'm gonna go with Pena, and I think he's gonna wind up getting some kind of a finish.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think, but
I think the same. I don't see anything different, and this guy cramps up in the ring, and he's going to find himself finished in a heartbeat. And I don't think the Irishman, and hey, my last name is Jameson. Don't get much more Irish than that.
And again, take it a step further.
I'm not a fan of his, and coming from straight blast doesn't really mean a whole lot, especially when Connor doesn't train these guys.
No, he doesn't.
No,
definitely not.
And Richie hasn't fought anybody, and I think this is a bad matchup for him, and Pena's just going to kill him.
Yeah, and even if you go by the inside the distance prop, Pena wins inside the distance is minus 225. It's kind of a big number to lay for someone inside the distance. You know what I mean?
That's huge.
Yeah, he's minus 345 to win the fight, minus 225 to finish inside the distance. So I really think he's going to finish this fight. And again, you're going to have to, on DraftKings, when these prices do drop, you're going to have to pay up because I'm sure he's going to be like 9.3K, 9.4K.
Yeah, Vegas won't even give you a little nibble on a plus, like plus 100. It's minus 125, and I see every bit of this fight, getting finished, and Pena just maybe scoring high, maybe scoring real high in GPP.
And again, Zelda, not for nothing, but TUF 27 is actually called TUF 27 undefeated. Every fighter is undefeated, so both of these guys are undefeated. And the next fight, it's amazing to me that these two guys are undefeated. But John Gunther and Alan Zanunga, I just watched this fight before against Giannetti. He got subbed by Giannetti. I think that this fight is going to be a very sloppy striking match until somebody shoots a takedown. I hope Gunther shoots a takedown early. So we don't even have odds on this fight. It is on Tapology, so I'm pretty sure that this fight will be on the card, John Gunther versus Alan Zanunga. I'm not very impressed with Zanunga at all. Doesn't really speak English. He is 13-0, but again, I don't know who he's fought. Yeah, from Costa Rica. I don't know who he's fought. 25 years old, 5'6", 70-inch reach. He's fighting at 155. Gunther actually got the call because there was an injury on the other side of the card, so Trezano needed somebody to fight. and he wound up fighting Gunther in the semifinals. And Trezano basically picked him apart in the first round, just kind of beat him up on the feet. Second round, Gunther was able to get a takedown, and with that takedown, he was able basically to win the round. Even when he got the takedown, he really didn't strike much. He didn't do much damage at all. But they gave him that second round, so it went to a third round. And then Trezano came out and basically beat him up in the third round. Stayed away from him, didn't let him get a takedown. He tried to shoot a couple takedowns sloppily. This is going to be a sloppy fight between Gunther and Zanunga. You can play it either way. I think if Gunther can get a couple takedowns, I don't think the striking match is going to be that. I think it's going to be sloppy, but I think it's going to be close sloppy. Trezano was just such a better striker than Gunther, and Giannetti was such a better striker than Zanunga. And with his reach advantage, Zanunga had like no shot. So the two better guys obviously won the fights. The two lesser guys in Gunther and Zanunga obviously lost. They're going to fight each other. I'm going to take Gunther if he decides to wrestle. I think he can get you some of those wrestling points too. What do you think?
Well, yeah, we do know that this is a UFC fight. I believe on UFC's website that they have this fight up there now, and we're waiting for the alerts from the odds makers to put the odds out, and maybe we might not even see these odds till Thursday or something, which kind of sucks. But neither one of these two fighters have fought any real magnitude fights. They fought fighters, 0 and 0 and 1 and 0, or or stuff, fights like that. They fought in regional circuits that you could be 13 and 50 and be on the main card. You could be the main event in some of these, regional that they fought. The guys from Costa Rica, there isn't very many Costa Rican fighters. And I guess they said that he had a huge disadvantage in the TUF house because he didn't speak no English at all.
Right.
I see this as such a low-level fight that could somebody get a finish out of these two? Sure, it could happen. I'm more thinking that this fight goes to a decision, and I'll give a little bit of edge to boy. I'll give a little bit of an edge to Gunter, and simply I'm going to say I'll give him an edge because I believe he fights out of the same gym as Stipe does.
He does, correct. That's actually why Stipe picked him well, that's what everybody said, that Stipe picked him basically because he fights out of his gym. Because Stipe had like 3 guys to pick from to fight Trezano in the semis, and he picked Gunther, and then Gunther obviously gets this fight. So I think Stipe took care of one of his own guys, which, obviously that's what they're there for, but, whatever, it is what it is. But yeah, I think it's a low-level fight, but I like Gunther to win the fight. I think he did more against Trezano, and I have a higher opinion about Trezano. Obviously, I interviewed him for the Jersey Boys podcast. Actually, Sun Tzu and I are supposed to take him out for pizza if he is able to win this. I'd take him out for pizza and win or lose either way. I just think it's great that he got this opportunity. But he has his hands full with Giannetti. So let's get right into that fight. Mike Trezano and Joe Giannetti at the 155 TUF 27 championship. There's actually going to be 2 championship fights on this TUF season. Obviously, the other fight, technically, we don't know what it is yet. So we can only really talk about this one, and then we'll leave the other 2 fights for everybody else to kind of imagine. Maybe we could post like something real quick. Maybe I'll do like a single video, but
yeah, there's not much you can do right now, really.
Yeah, I can't really until we know the matchups. I really can't do anything. But
I'm going to say Giannetti is probably the favorite in this fight.
Yeah, I think it's tough. Yeah, I mean, Giannetti looked good. I mean, he literally, what have we seen Giannetti in his 2 fights? He subbed. I don't remember the first one. He subbed him within the minute. You know what I mean? In his first fight in the TUF house, and then the second fight he subbed Zanunga, and I believe it was the first round. So I don't even think we've seen in the 2 fights on TUF 27, we haven't seen Giannetti for more than maybe 4 or 5 minutes. He's going to be a tough matchup for Trezano. He's got long arms, young kid. He's only like 22, 23 years old, 6 feet tall. 7 foot, 74-inch reach advantage, reach. So he's going to have the advantage. They're both 6-0. If you just watch that tough fight against Zanunga, he basically outstruck him. Very long striking, big left hand, lots of kicks, some left kicks, some swinging kicks. When he went for the sub, he basically went for a guillotine, then switched it to a Darce, then switched it to an Anaconda, and then got the sub. All within 30 seconds. Like he just went from one sub to the next to try to get that finish, very fluidly. And even Stipe and DC after the fight basically spoke about him on the thing. Like it was impressive. You know what I mean? But he's good. He kicks to close distance. He'll kick, follow up with punches. His right foot is kind of there to be kicked because he's kind of in more of a karate stance. So his right foot is kind of up. So you can attack that right foot. I would say that Trezano should go for takedowns, try to take him down, close the distance, make it a dirty boxing fight. But by the same token, Giannetti's tough because when you get close to him, I believe his first sub in the first round fight was actually on the feet. I think he subbed the guy on his feet. In this fight, he actually got him down the ground and subbed him, but he subbed him twice. But this is a dangerous fight for Trezano. I really like Mike. He was great in the interview. I really liked him in his fights. Very good striker. I just think that Giannetti's so long. It's kind of like fighting James Vick. You know what I mean? He's so long. He keeps distance. It's a tough style bender. You know what I mean? Keeps distance. He's so long. It's going to be a tough fight for him. What do you think, son?
Man, I everything that you said is pretty much right spot on. Right to he's 22 years old. I love how he fights. And like you said, this guy's fought at welterweight, I believe.
Yeah.
He's fought, Trezano's kind of a natural featherweight. I know he has fought maybe a fight or so at lightweight, but Joe's got so much room to grow, and I just see him. I see him with a sub. I see him subbing him out.
And again,
just to prove a point.
That was one of the things that I actually asked him about. He's fought at 145 and 155, Trezano. So why did he do 155 on the show? And he basically just said, I could have made either weight, but just the fact that I'm going to be away from home, the fights are kind of, if you can win those two fights. And again, I think at the time, I don't think they realized that there was going to be a 155 and a 145 division. So I think once they made him choose, he went 155. I think they actually auditioned. When I talked to him, I think they auditioned for 145, 155, and 170. And then they decided to go 145 and 155 on the show and do the undefeated angle. Okay. So that's basically why. And he didn't want to have to cut weight because he didn't know how many fights in a row he was going to be fighting. So if it was going to be 2 or 3 fights in a row, within a 5-6 week period, he didn't want to have to keep cutting weight and kind of diminish himself. So he decided to fight at 155, which was a great strategy then. But now you're in a position where Giannetti can kind of has the height advantage on you because you're kind of fighting a tougher division at 155. I think after this, I think he'll probably go back to 145 if the weight cut isn't that big. But again, he's a young kid. So both of these guys are young kids. They're going to fill out. They're going to get bigger. So maybe 155 is the natural weight class that they're going to have to stay in. But I think it's a tough fight. I really want Mike to win this fight. But Joe looked really good in his 2 fights.
He did.
And even Gunther was able to get in and take him down. So I wish Mike the best. I hope it's a great fight. And the funny thing is, I actually covered UFC 223 over in Brooklyn. That was when Habib fought Ala Iaquinta. I had press credentials, and these guys come in, and at the time, I had no idea who they were. So we're interviewing Yoel Romero. We're interviewing Robert Whitaker. We're interviewing a whole bunch of guys that are coming back and just kind of talking. Raquel Pennington, this was before her fight. And these two guys come back, and like nobody really went over by them because nobody knew who they were. Trizano's back there with his American flag cowboy hat and all this other stuff. And then after a while, you realize, all right, this is from the TUF House. And then these two guys that they brought to UFC 223 are the two guys that then wind up fighting for the title. You know, I think Trizano I know for a fact is from Ramsey, New Jersey, so he's local. And Giannetti, I believe, is from Massachusetts. So I guess it was two East Coast guys that they gave the opportunity to represent TUF 27. But Zelda, anything else? Any other thoughts on this card?
No, with what you said, Mike Trizano can win this fight if he can. He has a shot. There's no doubt about that. In GPP, I wouldn't go 100% on Giannetti. I wouldn't. I would put some on Mike Trizano too. You know.
And again, we don't know the odds yet, but based on you had mentioned that you thought Giannetti was going to be the favorite. I kind of thought Trizano would be the favorite. But either way, I think this is going to be. I think it'll be a close line. I'll put it this way: I think Giannetti. I think when you said Giannetti is going to be the favorite, I was thinking, all right, you know what? Everyone's going to see that he submitted two guys in the show, that they'll make him the favorite. So I wouldn't have a problem either way. I kind of hope Giannetti's the favorite because I want to play Trizano. It'll give me more reason to play Trizano.
The lines on this fight will probably be really close.
Yeah, I think they will be. And again, they're not out yet, so we don't know what's going on.
Would you be shocked if they both opened up at about the same?
I think Gunther's going to be a little bit more of a favorite. I think that people see that he's going to be able to get his wrestling going. Against Trizano, he didn't go for that early takedown for whatever reason. I really don't know why. He was also a late replacement, if you remember, because of the injury. So I think he found out like a day or two before. So I don't know if he really had too much time to really game plan what he was going to do for this fight.
Yeah,
so maybe that's what screwed him up. But if he were going to fight Trizano again, I would say was
he a replacement for a leg cramp guy, right?
I believe so. I believe that's leg cramp. I believe that's who he was replacing.
Irish leg cramp.
But with all that being said, you're talking about a guy who, if he wrestles and gets the takedown in the first round, he won the second round. He could have won that fight by winning 2 rounds. I think Trizano's a better fighter, but if he gets the takedown in either the first or the third round and holds him down, because he was able to hold him down in the second round, he probably wins the round and wins the fight.
I think Trizano's fought better competition.
No, I do. But again, if you're going to decision, you got to win 2 out of the 3 rounds. That's just what I think at this point. I think there's also
Bama and stuff, hasn't he?
No, Trizano's a Jersey guy. He's fought in a Ring of Combat. He actually has I believe he has 2 amateur belts and 2 pro belts. 1 in Ring of Combat and 1 in Maverick MMA are his belts. We actually covered a Ring of Combat event in Jersey, so he has a couple belts in those local promotions. But again, Giannetti's a good fighter. You know what I mean? So he would have a lot of success locally also.
Steve, what do you think of Ring of Combat's promotion? Do you think they're up there?
Oh, I mean, not for nothing, but we covered the event. They actually had a whole bunch of alumni in the ring at the event, and you got guys like Chris Weidman that have come through there, Ali Aquinta, a lot of Jersey and New York guys. So you got Marlon Moraes. I believe Frankie Edgar may have had fights back in the day, but Marlon Moraes was there.
It's kind of like King of the Cage, or
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of the best fighters from Jersey and New York, more or less, and probably Pennsylvania too, Delaware maybe, Connecticut. They're going to fight in Ring of Combat. Plus all their fights are in Atlantic City, so not for nothing, but most of these guys want to fight in Atlantic City.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good promotion. There's a bunch of good guys.
I definitely have heard of them, and I always thought pretty good about their promotion. So
so they're pretty good.
Yeah.
So Zelda, I guess we'll leave it at that. We don't really have much to say since those other 2 fights aren't out and the DraftKings lines aren't out. So best of luck on your helicopter tour. Best of luck in Vegas if you put in any bets. I may have to send another bet in your way. And anything you want to promote? I know you've promoted already in the show, but anything else you want to promote? Your Twitter handle or anything else you're working on?
Yeah, if you have like said, if you got any bets that you like or whatever, I still got $322 in my wallet that belongs to you. So you're free. Feel free to use it any way that you want. Like I said, yeah. I'm gonna have a good helicopter ride to Los Angeles and have to wear a Dodgers hat to a baseball game for losing a stupid friendly bet. So
Well, enjoy the rest of the
I
vacation, and we'll
hate the
talk again
Dodgers.
soon.
I hate the Dodgers.
All right, we'll talk again soon.
Sounds good. Sounds good.